What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Chris, this is 4K Motoring. Thanks for watching. What we're going to discuss today is the Multistrada V4, specifically the chain adjustment on the Multistrada V4. This is a very simple process. It is very similar to most motorcycles out there. Shouldn't be a whole lot very confusing about it. We'll go through where some of the tools are on the bike, what tools you need to complete the adjustment, and how to do it. Again, a pretty easy job. Let's get to it. And now we're going to announce another channel giveaway. We are knocking on the door of 2,500 subscribers here at 4K Motoring, which I am so thankful for. We've had kind of a steady increase that I am incredibly thankful for you guys for subscribing and watching these videos. I've been trying to continually improve my video content, both audio and video quality, as well as content. I've been trying to take the advice that I've received. I do appreciate all the comments I get that are constructive and let me know what you guys want to see out of these videos. What we're going to do is once we hit 2,500 subscribers, I'm going to give away one of these BPA chain slack adjuster tools. Now there are 4 colors for them. There's orange, red, blue, and green, I believe are the colors. Stay tuned to the end of this video. I will let you guys know the code to leave in this video. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you type in that code just like it appears on the screen at the end of this video. Once we hit 2,500 subscribers, I'll be doing the giveaway. Again, BPA chain adjuster. Stay tuned to the end of this video. Enter the code and keep watching 4K Motoring. For those of you that follow MotoGP, I want to say a huge congratulations to the Ducati Lenovo team, the factory team, and Pecco Bagnaia, their lead rider as it is, for winning the individual championship, the rider championship, the team championship, and the constructors championship. This has been an outstanding year for Ducati. Obviously 2022, they've made a great product. Hopefully the trend continues as we move on to 2023. For those of you that have never looked, this is what's included under the seat of your Multistrada. Obviously, the key goes in right under the driver's seat on the right side of the bike. It'll pop the clip that holds the front of the seat, and from there we can slide it forward. Don't forget you have a wire connecting the seat to the bike. But in this kit right here, it is secured by Velcro hook and loop closure. And it contains a couple pretty cool tools that we can use for our bike. As we unzip it, we're going to see one of the main things that it includes is a tubeless tire repair kit. Now that includes a sort of sealant, razor blade, an inflator, a couple CO2 canisters to help fill up the tire, and a general tire plug kit with a couple plugs. We do have a fuse puller in there, and we have this, which is our chain adjustment tool. I'm pushing about 7,500 miles on the bike so far. And so far we've done one chain adjustment to this bike. So with that, we're going to check how far out of adjustment the chain is. Obviously we clean and lube it pretty regularly, but we want to see just how far of adjustment it is. So for the beginning of this, I just want to show you how this tool works, and we're going to keep the bike up on the center stand just to keep it out of the way for just a moment. We don't want to adjust our chain with it on the center stand. That does change the tightness tolerance of the chain, so it gives you kind of a false reading. So we'll just show you how to use this tool to do that. So we'll notice it's got this tab that runs along the top of it. If we follow our axle up on the left side, we'll see there's a chain guard right here that has a little slot on the top of it. If we put it in the back of this slot, it doesn't stick in very far and it ends up going on an angle, which if you can see our lines there, it really skews the reading. So what we want to do is go back far enough where this guide comes out. We want to make sure it stays flat and is secure in right where it kind of juts out at the edge. We'll see that puts our guidelines for where the center of the pins should be in the chain, and we're not very far off with it on its center stand. Let's go ahead and drop it down and see what the chain does. Let's go ahead and check out how it looks with the bike on the ground, not on the center stand. Obviously the center stand would normally be in the way when it clips up, so you wouldn't be able to see anything. Any sort of kind of heavy object, it doesn't take a lot of weight to overcome the spring, but you have to have something on it to keep it down. I just used a floor jack, and now we can have a pretty clear view of this adjustment tool. This bike has 7,500 miles, and we can see the chain actually looks, if anything, like it might be a little tight, but it's right between those adjustment lines is where our center pins land. So although it doesn't say it really needs much of an adjustment, I will show you how to do the adjustment. I've been lubing this chain pretty much every 500 miles or so, more obviously if there's inclement weather, but pretty often I've been keeping up with cleaning and lubing this chain, and that's obviously helped a lot as I have 7,500 miles on this bike and it's only been adjusted once for the chain. Now, what I find even cooler, but what is not included with the bike, is one of these BPA Racing Easy Chain Adjustment tools. This requires you to set it up the first time you use it, but once it's set up, it makes chain adjustment really easy. So I set up the actual adjuster on this, which is that basically the guide right there in front. I set that up the last time I adjusted the chain on this to make sure it was within spec. And we're gonna go ahead and put this back on and see how much difference that makes and how easy that is to read. There are 3 pins that set this up. We want to go kind of in with the first one on top. The second one's going to go underneath. And the third one we're going to pick up and put on top of the chain, just like that. We can see from our adjustment window, we are just slightly out of adjustment. What I really like about this tool even more is that even when the bike is on the center stand, our factory chain adjuster now tells us the chain is loose per spec. It is dipping below, and that would allow us to adjust it on the center stand, but when we put it back on the wheels, it ended up being too tight. Let's check out this BPA Racing tool and just see what it does. With our BPA Racing tool installed, we can see the adjustment is showing exactly the same as it did when it was on its side stand. So this is a seemingly more reliable way to adjust the chain on these bikes. You don't necessarily have to put it off the center stand. You can keep it on the center stand, which makes the adjustment process even easier, and it's still giving you just as accurate result as long as you've set it up correctly on the side stand as the manual initially suggests. The only tools we're going to need is a 12-point 36mm socket. We're going to need a 10mm and a 12mm open-ended wrench. The jam nut is going to be a 12mm. The actual adjusting bolt is going to be a 10mm. The 36mm 12 points what we're going to use for this nut here. And that's just going to spin off. There is a lot of torque on it. I'll put the torque spec here on the screen for you so you know what to reference. But it should be pretty tight. Once we get this to spin freely, that's loose enough. It doesn't have to come all the way off. We want to make sure it's not binding anything because we want to make sure this axle can slide. Now what is going to be very important is the actual measuring marks on each side. We want to make sure we're not going to twist the axle at all and make the chain kinked. So we want to make sure we're paying attention to where the chain is right now and where we adjust it to on both sides. Keeping our adjuster in mind, we're going to go ahead and loosen our jam nut. And if you noticed, when I did that, it did spin the actual bolt in there. So be careful whenever you're tightening this again, because as you spin the jam nut, it will spin this unless you're holding it as well. So it's going to require 2 wrenches at the same time. We are then going to spin this out just slightly. We're going to stay watching the adjuster. As we can see, our chain tool is lining back up. Okay, so we've got this pretty well aligned on this side, and we've gotten our little adjuster mark basically even, so it's a solid circle in there that the edges line up with each other. So that should make it pretty easy to get to the other side and get to our third notch and have the leading edges lined up. With a visual check complete that we're in the third notch, leading edges exactly aligned on both sides, we're going to go ahead and take our wrenches. This is going to be a two-handed operation. We're going to make sure we hold the actual bolt still while we tighten this jam nut. We're going to do that on both sides. Once we do both sides, we'll go ahead and tighten this axle nut up. Make sure you have a torque wrench. The best axle torque I found for this bike seems to be 180 Newton meters, which ends up being about 135 foot-pounds of torque for this rear axle nut. So we'll go ahead and do that once we get the other side tightened up. With that complete, we're going to go ahead and recheck our BPA Racing chain guide, and we'll see we are lined up just about perfectly. We're going to go ahead and drop it down, put it back on its own weight, and make sure that that adjustment is still within spec. Again, we'll push the side stand out of the way. We'll take our BPA chain adjuster, showing perfect alignment. The chain is aligned. There are alignment tools that you can purchase, and I'll put a link in the description below. But we want to make sure our chain, if we can see it, is as straight as it can be all the way down. Now, there are two bolts right here we can take out to remove this top chain cover. And if you're going to use the alignment tool that is sold on Amazon, again, I'll link it below, this has to come off to be able to use that tool. But you should be pretty good with these alignment marks. As long as you have a reference point on both sides that is exactly even, you should be pretty straight. One of the ways that we were able to maintain our chain the way we did, again, 7,500 miles, this is the second adjustment, is by keeping it clean. Obviously, these O-ring chains, they have a sealed pin inside with kind of permanent grease is what it's supposed to be. Really, when we're lubing it, it's not like a bicycle chain. We're not actually lubing the chain to keep it from, wearing. What we're doing is trying to keep those seals in good condition so it keeps that grease in there, keeps water and other elements out of there. We're also trying to make sure the outside doesn't rust. So what I generally use is the Maxima brand of chain cleaner, chain lube, and chain wax. This is a three-step process that is pretty easy to apply, especially to get a very clean chain. It's not ideal for traveling as it is a three-step process. Something like the PJ1 or some other similar products are more compact and easier to take on road trips. But for the garage kept bike that goes on occasional rides, this is a great kit. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. While you're back here, it is a good idea to check your rear tire as well. This one's starting to flat spot, especially since we got our iron butt ride in. This is done, again, about 7,500 miles on the original set of tires, which I'm pretty impressed with. The original Multistrada I had, my 2015 1200S, that thing, I could barely get about 6,500 miles out of the rear tire before it was pretty much dead. That was a V-twin that put down the torque a little bit lower. It was pretty much the equivalent amount of power. It was about the same torque, just a little bit less horsepower, but it was coming at a lower RPM out of that big V-twin. This thing's putting out the same torque a little higher up in the rev range, so it's not quite as grunty, and I think that saved the tire a little bit. I was a little bit hesitant about this 170 mil tire over the old 190 mil, thinking this might wear faster because there's less rubber. But really, if we check the center, we're right about 6/30 seconds in the center, as opposed to kind of the high spot on the outside. We are closer to 9/30 seconds. So I have no doubts we should be able to get about 10,000 miles out of this Scorpion Trail rear tire with the occasional two-up riding, a lot of highway riding, and some sporty riding. You can see kind of every bit of tread gets used, but it's mostly that center for the highway trips. Really, again, thank everybody for watching and subscribing to the 4K Motoring YouTube channel. I really hope to bring more content to you in 2023 and do some more exciting things. If you have any requests or anything specific you want to see, absolutely let me know in the comments below. Again, we're doing a giveaway. Once we hit 2,500 subscribers, we'll be doing a giveaway for this BPA chain slack adjuster tool. What I need everybody to do on this video is in the comments below, enter the code Ducati 2022. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, enter that code exactly as it's written, and let me know what color you'd like to get. the orange, red, blue, or green VPA chain adjuster. As soon as we hit 2,500 subscribers, I'll put out another video. I'll let you know the winner, and we'll go ahead and get it shipped out to you. Again, thanks for watching 4K Motoring. I'm Chris. We really appreciate it. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and like this video. It does help us out. Let us know what you want to see next. There's some big changes in store for this 2022 Multistrada in this coming year. 2023 is going to be full of excitement, and we'll catch you next time.